Hey there, welcome to my channel Ekskwizitart, and today's topic gonna be grid method for outlining. So let's get started. Grid method is a very basic method for outlining which is very useful for beginners to start with. Here my subject is Prachi Desai, and as you can see I have created a grid with each box of 2x2 dimensions, and I have created in such a way that there are many number of boxes throughout the sheet. Let me write it down. 2 centimeter here and 2 over there. Well, let me explain the procedure step by step. Step 1. Draw grid. Well, replicate the grid on your drawing sheet which you have just drawn on your reference sheet with same dimensions or similar proportions. So up next is marking intersection points. Well, here in our reference image, let's consider this as our first intersection point. Wait, let me get a darker pencil. So yeah, here our first intersection point, and in this line over here is our second intersection point, and in this line, as you can see here, we have our third intersection point right there, as you can see. So in similar fashion you can mark the rest of the intersection points. So here we go. So once that is done, so basically what we're gonna do here is we're gonna measure the distance between your reference line and the intersection point. Let's consider this as our reference line. So let's measure the distance. It's around 0.6. So let me mark it on our sheet. Here is our reference line, and here we go. So this is our first intersection point right there. Well, in similar manner, let's mark the rest of the points. So in this line, so here is our point, right? It's around there's one more point in the middle, so let's get the measurement there. It's around 0.9. so let me mark it. It's around 0.9 right there. Now let's just join the line over the 2 points. Here we go. So as you can see, marking intersection points is really handy and things get a lot easier. So let me join it roughly over here. There we go. So that's all about this step. So step 3, mapping the boxes. Well, let's get started with the chin. So here it's F column and 10th row. So let's take F column and 10th row. Right here, this is our box. So in this box, you can measure with a scale or set square, it's up to you. So in this box we have 2 intersection points. One is at 0.5 and the another one is at 0.4. So let me just mark the intersection points in our drawing sheet. So here we go, our first point, and here we have our second point right there. So once you mark the points, let's just join them. Here we go. Our chin outline is ready there. So now considering the next block, which is G10. So let me get the measurement of the intersection point. Here we go. And it's around 12.4. So let me just mark it on our drawing sheet right there. Here, coming to the second, it's the G9 block, and let me measure it, and here we go. So I'm marking the point right here. Let me just join them slowly, and here we go. We are getting the outline for the cheeks. So what I'm basically trying to do here is I am taking a block in which individual block, I'll be marking the intersection points in that particular block. Then I'll be considering one reference line. I'll get the measurements of that intersection point with respect to that reference line, and then I'll mark a similar intersection point on our drawing sheet with the measurement and considering the same reference line. So this technique is really handy and really easy for beginners. So let me just illustrate this method using a small time lapse for the rest of the outline. I hope so far you understood what I am trying to explain. Well, after the time lapse, I'll be giving you some tips and tricks and a bonus tip. So watch till the end. Well then, time for some tips and tricks. So tip number 1, always take a printout of your reference image. Well, I wouldn't recommend beginners to use a mobile phone because when you're using a mobile, you might not understand or get the proportions right. It gets really tough to understand the proportions or to compare your sketch with the grid image on your mobile. Hence, I will always suggest to get a printout over using a grid in your mobile phone. So, tip number 2, use lighter pencil shades. Well, always use lighter pencil shades, namely the H series pencils for outlining. Well, light pencils for drawing outline and even lighter pencils for drawing grid, since you will be eventually erasing them off. So I would suggest 4H or maybe 6H for drawing the grid, and for outlining maybe you can use 3H or 4H. Well then, to the next tip, tip number 3. Use a naming convention. Well, here as you can see, I have given A, B, C and so on for the columns, and 1, 2, 3 and so on for the rows. So suppose if I want to refer to the middle block right here, it's F7. See, it gets a lot more easy and handy. So always use a naming convention. So the next tip, tip number 4, use a scale. Well, as I have already explained earlier in step number 2 and 3, where I have used scale to measure the distance between your reference line and the intersection point. So it gets a lot more easier and handy, and the outline will be a lot more accurate when you measure with the scale and mark the exact distance for your intersection point. So I would always suggest to use a scale to mark and measure the intersection points and again replicate them on your sheet, as it helps us get better results. So the next tip, when in doubt, always divide the boxes. You can always divide the boxes in 2 ways. The first one, as you can see here, in this way, and you can get the intersection point over here. Another way of dividing the block is diagonally. Well, let me illustrate it. So if you divide it like this, here as you can see, you can get the exact length of the eye. And finally, the bonus tip. Any guesses what this might be? Well, it's a divider. And have you ever wondered why it was in your geometry box all these years? Well, let me tell you a small secret. So with a divider, you can measure the exact length and cross-check your proportions and make the necessary changes. Well, let me illustrate it. Here, let's compare the right eye. As you can see, the proportions are exactly the same. Next, for the left eye, as you can see here, I need to make some minor changes. Well, let's compare the nose. Here I need to make a few changes and minor corrections. So well, I really hope you understood how we can use a divider. So let me help you regarding where to get started from. Cartoons or animated subjects are a great way to start. Since they are very basic and simple, it will be very easy for you to learn. Then you can switch to some curvy subjects so that you will learn regarding the curves. Then at stage 2, you can consider anime characters as your subject, as they are very simple human subjects and it will help you understand and get acquainted with the technique. And at the third stage, basic human figures which are simple and help you understand the structure even better. And then finally, you can switch to some realistic subjects. So always keep practicing and always remember one step at a time. So that's all for today's video. Hope you found it really helpful. Please do shower all your love and support as it means a lot, and do consider subscribing to my channel as great content coming up on its way. So I will see you soon in the next one. Until then, happy sketching. Bye bye.